Japan will begin releasing treated radioactive wastewater from the tsunami-crippled Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean despite opposition from neighboring countries. When exactly will this happen? Let's find out more with Ria Saito.
This coming Thursday, Japan will start its release of treated radioactive water from the Fukushima nuclear plant into the sea, and this decision comes weeks after UN's nuclear watchdog approved the plan. However, the move received a strong opposition from various groups and neighboring countries. With around 1 million tons of water, the said amount could fill up 500 Olympic-sized pools stored at the tsunami-hit Fukushima plant since 2011. Japanese authorities also asked plant operators to prepare its disposal on August 24th if the sea and weather are in proper condition. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida visited the plant on Sunday following speculations that Japan is not ready for its discharge plan. According to the Japanese government, the release of wastewater is dire for the plant's process of decommissioning. The nuclear wastewater will be released from the Fukushima nuclear power plant after 30 years of filtration and dilution. Japan has been storing and collecting the radioactive water in tanks for more than 10 years as their space is running out. Ijo Nihon Kara Sektoriya News o伝えしました。SMNI News, Japan.
Hong Kong's leader John Lee announced import restrictions on Japanese seafood products in response to Japan's decision to release Fukushima nuclear power plant wastewater into the Pacific Ocean. Nanny Levido has the details.
Hong Kong has taken action to restrict imports of certain Japanese food products in light of Japan's decision to release wastewater from the Fukushima nuclear plant into the Pacific Ocean. Hong Kong's leader John Lee expressed strong concerns about the potential risk to food safety and the environment arising from Japan's unilateral choice to discharge nuclear wastewater. He criticized the decision as irresponsible and promptly instructed relevant departments to implement measures to safeguard public health and food safety within Hong Kong. Japan's plan involves gradually releasing a significant amount of accumulated water from the Fukushima nuclear plant, asserting its safety with the support of the United Nations Atomic Agency. However, Hong Kong stands as the second largest receiver of Japanese food imports after mainland China. As a response to Japan's wastewater release decision, Hong Kong had previously indicated its intention to ban aquatic products from 10 specific Japanese prefectures, including Tokyo and Fukushima. China had also warned of a comprehensive ban on foodstuffs from these areas. Reporting, this has been Lenny Luvido, SMNI News.
China Ambassador Wang Zillian on Tuesday clarified that their Coast Guard did not block the humanitarian supply of the Philippine Coast Guard to a Union shoal. Margaret Gonzalez reports.
There are still talks about the tension between the Philippines and China after the water cannon incident that happened weeks ago, while the Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, was on its way for its resupply mission near a Union shoal. Chinese Ambassador Wang Zillian, in a media interview during the 9th Manila Forum on China-Philippines Relations in Quezon City, clarified the special arrangement for the humanitarian supply of the PCG for its troops to BRP Sierra Madre. He said that the resupply mission was not a problem and that the Chinese Coast Guard did not block the Philippines from doing so.
I think the China Coast Guard has just issued one statement in response to the latest developments. This statement might be helpful for you to understand what has happened. I think my information secretary might be sharing this with you. What I want to emphasize is that there has never been problem with the delivery of humanitarian supplies because there is a special arrangement for such.
The Chinese ambassador stressed that the problem was the lack of coordination for the transport of building materials to BRP Sierra Madre. However, he assured that they had already communicated closely with the parties involved.
The problem was with the transportation of large scale of building materials. I think that's so far what I can share with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That there was construction materials?
Thank you so much. We have communicated very closely with parties concerned on this. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Ambassador Wang assures China's commitment to strengthen its dialogue with the Philippines when it comes to maritime disputes.
China and the Philippines have differences on the maritime issues, including the Renaijiao, or what is called the second commercial reef. So we should faithfully implement the important consensus reached between our two presidents during his visit to China, and to manage the relevant issues well. The Chinese side has repeatedly expressed our willingness to properly handle existing differences with the Philippines through bilateral dialogue and consultation. So we hope that the Philippine side will work with the Chinese side in the same direction, so that to strengthen the dialogue and consultation over maritime disputes.
The ambassador also hopes that China can strengthen its relationship with other neighboring countries in Asia. He also expressed confidence that Asian countries can maintain peace in the South China Sea.
We hope that we can strive to reach a regional norm that is effective, substantive, and in line with international law, including the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. And China believes that China and ASEAN countries, we are capable and wise enough to maintain peace and stability in the South China Sea and build their common home. And you mentioned the name of few countries, so I would like to also take this opportunity to remind everyone, to draw your attention that the United States and some other forces wish nothing but chaos in the South China Sea.
Meanwhile, Ambassador Wang in his speech talked about the three forward-looking initiatives being pushed by China to achieve world modernization. One is the GSI, or Global Security Initiative, GDI, or Global Development Initiative, and the GCI, or the Global Civilization Initiative.
The concept of building a community with a shared future for mankind and the three global initiatives are fundamentally different from traditional Western theorem on international relations. It shows that China will never follow the path of hegemony and power politics, protecting one's own security at the expenses of the security of others, provoking separatism and confrontation. Or China will never follow the path of the hegemony and power politics, protecting one's own security at the expenses of the security of others. Instead, China will always be a builder of world peace, a contributor to global development, and a defender of international order.
For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Margaret Gonzalez, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, the latest developments on Donald Trump's criminal cases, a judge in Atlanta, Georgia, has set bail for the former United States president at $200,000. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee approved the bond agreement on Monday in relation to District Attorney Fannie Will's election interference case on Trump. The bond agreement sets out strict rules for Trump's behavior in the lead up to the trial. This includes making no direct or indirect threat of any nature against any co-defendant. Moreover, Trump cannot communicate with any witness or co-defendant about the facts of the case except through his legal counsel. This involves not only in-person dealings but also posts or reposts on social media. Trump agrees to the $200,000 bond and says in a social media post that he plans to turn himself in on Thursday to face election interference charges, but added that this is in quote-unquote strict coordination with President Joe Biden's Department of Justice and alleges election interference. In addition to Trump, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee also set bonds on Monday for attorneys John Eastman and Kenneth Chesebro at $100,000, for Ray Smith III at $50,000, and for Scott Hall at $10,000. In other news, Wagner is recruiting more men, and this is evident in its boss Yevgeny Prigozhin, who posted his first video address since the short-lived mutiny in Russia in June. Virgil Parba has the details.
A short video circulated online on Monday showing Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin armed and dressed in military uniform in a place that appears to be Africa. The mercenary chief said that his forces are recruiting and are working hard to make Russia even greater, and that Wagner is also seeking to help Africa even more free.
Работаем. Температура плюс 50. Все как мы любим. ЧВК «Вагнер» проводит РПД. Делает Россию еще более великой на всех континентах, а Африку еще более свободной. Справедливость и счастье для африканских народов. Кошмарим ИГИЛ, Аль-Каиду и других бандосов.
Prigozhin also said that Wagner is hiding the real heroes and claimed that they continue to fulfill the tasks that were set and to which they made a promise that they could handle.
Берем на работу настоящих богатырей и продолжаем выполнение задач, которые были поставлены и которые мы давали обещание, что справимся.
The Wagner boss did not elaborate the specific nature of such task or who had set them. Although the Wagner on the part of the coup leaders to seek help from Wagner, however, he warned the West to avoid pushing neither toward its enemy. Reporting, this has been Virgil Parba, SMNI News.
North Korea may launch another spy satellite in the coming days. This was revealed by Japan, saying that it was North Korea that informed them of their plans. Kim Sung tells us more.
The Japanese Coast Guard said North Korean authorities informed them about a plan to launch a satellite in the coming days after failing to do so 3 months ago. To recall, Pyongyang failed to launch its first military reconnaissance satellite last May. According to the office of the Japanese Prime Minister, Pyongyang gave notice of its launch plan. They then vowed to make another attempt after studying what went wrong with their first launch. In response to this, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida gave orders to cooperate with the United States and South Korea to urge North Korea to cancel its launch. According to Japan Coast Guard, the satellite rocket launch will happen between August 24th and 31st, where there will be dangerous areas assigned, including the Yellow Sea, East China Sea, and other areas near the islands of the northern Philippines. With North Korea's planned launch, Japan, South Korea, and the U.S. condemned its act due to its violations of the UN resolution by using ballistic missile technology. The move came after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un inspected a missile cruise test as Pyongyang's answer to the summer exercise between South Korea and the United States, which Kim deems as a rehearsal for war. Solisobugo Kim Sang-imnida, SMNI News, South Korea.
The Australian military will spend $1.7 Australian to purchase high-tech missiles and improve its long-range defense capability. Shayna Salim for the report.
Australian Defence Forces plans to purchase 200 Tomahawk cruise missiles to target enemies at longer ranges. Australia will be the third country to own the 1,500-kilometer range missiles after Britain and the United States. It would be some of the most powerful and technologically advanced weapons in Australia's armoury. The Australian government also plans to buy more than 60 extended-range anti-radar missiles. The recent weapon purchases suggest the country is investing heavily in increasing its military power and prepare for unforeseen attacks. Meanwhile, Australian Defence Minister Richard Marles will travel to the Philippines to observe joint training drills focused on regional security. Reporting from New South Wales, this is Sheena Selim, SMNI News, Australia.
The Defense Minister of Australia plans to visit the Philippines and Malaysia this week. Sasha Hassa has the details.
Australian Defence Minister Richard Marles will visit Southeast Asia to forge strong bilateral and military ties with partner countries in the region. Marles will first visit Malaysia for bilateral talks, as both countries share a deep and enduring partnership based on history, shared interests, and strong personal connections. After his visit to Malaysia, Marles will travel to the Philippines to observe joint training drills focused on regional security. The Philippines and Australia kicked off their first ever joint amphibious training in the Northern Territory last week. Dubbed Exercise Alone 2023, the drill started on August 14 and will run until August 31. The bilateral training is part of the Indo-Pacific Endeavour 2023, Australia's flagship regional engagement activity to deepen diplomatic and defense ties across Southeast Asia and the Northeast Indian Ocean. Reporting from Sydney, this has been Sasha Hassa, SMNI News, Australia.
Iran's foreign minister said the prisoner exchange process with the United States could take up to 2 months. Melchizedek Cadiz reports.
Assalamu alaikum. Negotiations are underway for the release and exchange of prisoners between Tehran and Washington. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Nasser Kanani confirmed the process could take up to 2 months. News of the prisoner swap first emerged less than 2 weeks ago. As part of the deal, U.S. will free 5 Iranian prisoners in return for the release of 5 detained Americans who have now been transferred into house arrest. Moreover, Iran will be given access to $6 billion in oil revenue that was frozen in South Korea due to U.S. sanctions. The tentative deal took place amid heightened tensions in the Strait of Hormuz after the U.S. deployed thousands of Marines and sailors in the Persian Gulf. As Washington and Tehran have embarked on a prisoner exchange deal, an Iranian military delegation has arrived in Moscow on Monday to discuss cooperation between Iranian and Russian ground forces. Barakallahu fikum jami'an, kan hada Melchizedek Cadiz akhbar SMNI Kuwait.
Cambodia's parliament elected the son of longtime Cambodian ruler Hun Sen as the country's new prime minister. Anissa de Guzman has the details.
70-year-old Cambodian strongman Hun Sen, who ruled the country for nearly 40 years, made a historic transfer of power after his eldest son was elected unanimously as the country's new premier.
Hun Sen's Cambodian People's Party won all 5 seats in the lower house during the elections held in July. Days after the landslide victory, the Cambodian strongman said his son Hun Manet could take over in 3 or 4 weeks. On Tuesday, lawmakers elected a 45-year-old 4-star general as the new prime minister. Hun Manet will rule at a time when Cambodia has built closer ties with China. China has accounted for more than 90% of the foreign direct investment in Cambodia in 2022, with World Bank forecasting the Southeast Asian country's economy to accelerate to 5.5% this year.
Meanwhile, Hun Sen will continue on as president of the ruling Cambodian People's Party and a lawmaker after stepping aside as prime minister. Di siya Anissa de Guzman, Dragan Chakuntep Mahanakon, SMNI News, Pratatay, Sawadika.
Back for more news, the former Prime Minister of Thailand was immediately arrested and taken to court as he returned to the country after 15 years in exile. Chatman Kompisamaikason reports.
Former Prime Minister of Thailand and billionaire Thaksin Shinawatra will serve 8 years in prison for 3 outstanding charges. Thailand's Supreme Court handed the 8-year sentence on Tuesday. The business tycoon turned politician arrived in Thailand on Tuesday morning at Bangkok's Don Mueang Airport after boarding a private jet from Singapore. Shinawatra would be arrested and taken directly to the Supreme Court for a hearing before being transferred to a prison. He was overthrown as Prime Minister in 2006 and lived in self-imposed exile since 2008. Shinawatra was arrested hours before Pheu Thai Party's candidate Sethar Thavisin was voted the next Thai Prime Minister. The Shinawatra families founded Pheu Thai in 2007. รายงานจากราชบุรี นายชัดมงคลพิสมัยโกศล SMNI ประเทศไทย สวัสดีครับ
The Defense Minister of Denmark names a key condition after his country announced the donation of F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. Carlo de la Peña reports.
Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky secured a significant pledge during his European tour as the Netherlands and Denmark committed to providing long-awaited F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte announced an airbase in Eindhoven during a joint press conference with President Zelensky recently. Rutte stated, and quote, "The Netherlands and Denmark commit to transferring F-16 aircraft to Ukraine and the Ukrainian Air Force in cooperation with the United States and other partners once conditions are met." End of quote. Although the exact number of F-16s to be donated is yet to be confirmed, Zelensky called it a historic breakthrough and hinted at receiving 42 planes in total from the Netherlands alone. Denmark's defense ministry confirmed its support for Ukraine, promising F-16s subject to specific conditions. These include selecting, testing, and training Ukrainian F-16 personnel alongside necessary authorizations, infrastructure, and logistics. The donation arrives as both the Netherlands and Denmark replace older F-16s with modern F-35s. However, the F-16 fighter jets set to be donated to Ukraine by the two countries must only be used on Ukrainian territory, as said by Danish Defense Minister Jakob Ellemann-Jensen. According to a Reuters report, the Danish Defense Minister underscored that Denmark and the Netherlands will donate the weapons under the condition that they are used to drive enemies out of Ukrainian territory, and no further than that. These are the conditions, whether it's tanks, fighter jets, or something else, as said by Ellemann-Jensen. Meanwhile, Pentagon spokesperson Sabrina Singh explained that Ukraine must meet certain criteria before they approve the requests of the Netherlands and Denmark to transfer the F-16s, and that the process is going to take some time. Singh also said that the US was open to the idea of training Ukrainian pilots to fly the F-16 jets if Denmark and the Netherlands could not teach all of the pilots sent by Ukraine at once, and that it's up to Kiev to decide how many of their pilots are going to receive such training. Reporting, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
Russia's first lunar mission in nearly 50 years ended up in failure after the Luna 25 spacecraft crashed into the surface of the moon due to a critical engine shutdown. Meanwhile, Russia's prominent physicist has been hospitalized following the lunar mission's setback. Justin Nazario tells us more.
Russia's first moon mission in 47 years suffered a setback after Luna 25 crashed into the moon. Yuri Borisov, head of Russian space agency Roscosmos, revealed that the probe's engines operated for 127 seconds instead of the planned 84 seconds, causing it to deviate from its intended orbit. Consequently, the spacecraft collided with the moon's surface. The propulsion system glitch led to the spacecraft entering an unintended lunar orbit, preventing it from successfully landing near the lunar south pole. An investigation commission has been formed to analyze the incident further. Despite the setback, Borisov highlighted that the mission provided valuable experience for future endeavors, including Luna 26, 27, and 28. The mission successfully reached lunar orbit and transmitted high-resolution lunar images before the attempted landing on August 21st. Meanwhile, 90-year-old Mikhail Marov, a prominent physicist who played a crucial role in Russia's moon mission, was hospitalized after suffering a sharp deterioration in his health after the moon mission failed. After the failure of the Luna 25, Marov, in an interview with a Russian newspaper, expressed his sorrows and hope for a comprehensive discussion and probe as to why the Luna 25 crashed, saying, quote, "This was perhaps the last hope for me to see a revival of our lunar program." End of quote. Reporting, this is Minister Nazario, SMNI News.
Dubai has announced a target to recycle 100% of wastewater in the city by 2030. Jonathan Okobo tells us more.
Marhaba. At present, 90% of wastewater in Dubai that is being used for domestic and commercial purposes is recycled, but the Emirate plans to make it 100% within the next 10 years.
The initiative will reduce its use of desalinated water and related power consumption by 30%. It will also achieve an annual savings of about 2 billion dirhams, or about $544 million. Wastewater is collected and processed through treatment plants to remove contaminants so they can be discharged back to the environment. The water can be used for firefighting as a more eco-friendly alternative, as well as treatment processes such as washing operations in sewage treatment plants and pumping stations.
Dubai also plans to double its recycling of water to more than 8 billion cubic meters by 2030. Tajublak Almazimin Tatiti at Rumnabay Canada Jothan Kobos My News, Nedidar Bemrats.
Did you know that you can earn a substantial income each year from just a single pomelo tree? This is what was discussed in the first part of the Lifelong Livelihood series with MJ Mondihar.
Their golden pomelos are incredibly sweet. They are of export quality.
It cannot bear fruit twice a year, but 3 times every 2 years.
Citrus fruits like pomelos thrive in sandy loam soil, and this type of soil can also be found in the province of Palawan.
Ang ating government, target to bring out our farmers from poverty nasa mga 14,750 per family. So kahit na meron kang sabihin lang natin 50 trees na ganito, siguradong makakalabas sa poverty level.
Although the Philippines is an agricultural country, most Filipinos aren't farmers. But if more Filipinos realize the potential, no one would struggle in farming. This initiative is now starting in Palawan through the Lifelong Livelihood Program.
So itong pomelo na to, ang potential nito is napakalaki at napakalawak. Just imagine, the harvest here is not being exported yet. Sa Pilipinas pa lang kulang na.
So thankful talaga ako kay Congressman Alvarez. Former governor. Kasi first time ko na makarating dito sa lugar ninyo, sa Cotabato, na kung saan pala dito nanggagaling yung mga pinakamasasarap na prutas. At tama talaga na ito yung maging hanap buhay namin din doon sa Brooks Point sa Palawan. Kasi kulang na kulang kami sa mga prutas na ganito kakasarap.
Brooks Point is also committed to establishing a pomelo farm in their area. All local officials covered by the Lifelong Livelihood Program will receive free pomelo seedlings in the future, along with farm assistance and continuous guidance on cultivation. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Lifelong Livelihood Tour, only here on SMNI. For Ghana Philippines, I'm Jim Mondihar, SMNI News.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the message of the appointed Son of God. I will defend my faith in God and His words. And that's all for today's edition of Newsline World. For more news update, you may visit SMNINewsChannel.com or follow us on our official social media accounts on Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Kristel Guangco. Thank you for watching Newsline World, and thank you to our beloved pastor, Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy, for the opportunity to be part of this program. May you continue to listen in SMNI as it delivers nothing but fair, truthful, and balanced news. For SMNI is your source